Hello and welcome everyone, my name is Captain Frost and today we're gonna be build watching our Cyclone Shockwave standard league starter, quite powerful skill combination throughout the last 2 or 3 or maybe even more expansions. So basically that's a Cyclone that uses staves that creates these explosions of Shockwave that are going around from your hits of Cyclone and that have even bigger AoE than the Cyclone itself. And yeah, this way you have effective clear of AoE, you have quite high DPS, you have still just enjoyable, simple Cyclone gameplay loop, and yeah, you have a character that you can league start with no problem. It doesn't have any hard mechanics built into it. It's just simple, it's easy, it's fun, it's fast, and it's quite powerful, and it's not bad on defenses as well. So yeah, as you can see, we're taking this POB where we have something close to 27 million DPS on our Cyclone. We are taking it from the Poeninja. That's one of the first characters that hit level 100 on Cyclone. Oh, wait a second, this Battle Faith just lagged out there. There it is. So yeah, that's your Cyclone guy. And yeah, that's a snapshot from week 1. So in 7 days, this guy achieved this character, and there's literally no crazy just costly uniques on it. There's no omniscience, there's no headhunters, no mage blood, so it's all pretty grounded, it's all okay. So yeah, and now we're gonna go for the build itself with 1 second of exception. If you enjoy my content, if you enjoy talking to me, probably, maybe, then definitely subscribe to either this channel here on YouTube or even better to my Twitch at twitch.tv CapcanFrost. Link will be in the pinned comment below the video. Yeah, now let's go for the build itself. We will start from its offensive and defensive stats, then we will go for the talent tree, and then we'll go for skills and items. So, what do we have with this? Of course, this DPS is very, very high. It is calculated against the Guardian or Pinnacle boss. So if you were to create, if you were to change to just a regular mob, oh, it even went like lower. Probably there is some shenanigans in there. So yeah, but this is what you can achieve on quite serious bosses as well. And when it comes to our defenses, it's 31k EHP. We do have some defenses against chaos damage as well. To be honest, not that much. Maybe, and not even maybe, you can 100% upgrade your defenses against chaos damage with your chaos res, but that all depends on what are you building, and probably you will have to sacrifice some parts of your damage for that. So yeah, it all depends on your goals and on your just tasks that you're placing before your character. Yes, so let's go for the talent tree itself. Let's look at what do we have here. It's mostly life, evasion rating, and armor that is taken here. To be honest, evasion rating increases are only from here, which means that yeah, evasion rating we're not really caring for. Armor is the thing that we're going for. Armor, maximum life, more attack speed, melee damage. Then for the jewels we will go a bit further. Mana reservation efficiency of skills, that's definitely gonna be always pretty good. Impale nodes, some additional melee crit strike and crit multiplier, just straight up fizz damage nodes, some life leech nodes that give us damage as well. Then again a bit later, so call to arms, it's for our war cries to be instant, more life and armor. More chance to impale, more life regeneration, maybe for like your additional sustain, even though we definitely have life leech, which will be probably just enough. Then again, more melee crit, more life, some nodes for staff damage and staff crit, which is definitely good. And yeah, with staves it's easier to go for high crit. Then more mana reservation efficiency, in order to pack all those determinations and other auras that we're using. And then we have here some additional stave, critical strike, and multiplier nodes. So everything is quite simple. It's melee damage, it's melee attack speed. Sometimes it's mostly melee crit and staves crit, strike chance and multiplier, and then it's mana reservation and some health with armor. That's mostly what is jam-packed into this character in terms of its talent tree. Then let's go and check the jewels. So we have here is some stats, crit multi, as much crit multiplier as you can possibly get, and some maximum life. With our cluster jewels, we're taking damage with just increased staff damage with hits, and as our as points, as big talents. And remember, you want as less small points as possibly can get on this guys, because small points, they don't really worth too much. It's the big points that we are after for. And feel the fight, so additional attack speed and damage. Then weight advantage, some damage, chance to deal double damage, which is precious as hell because it's an additional multiplier on top of our crit strike chance, on top of our crit multi, and all the multipliers that lie even below that. And then we have martial prowess, which is again attack speed, damage, and some accuracy. Then with our second, and as you can see, we're using three large cluster jewels. You can live happily without this third one, especially because you're taking the small elemental nodes. They're not really good. We're taking just some regular two-hander talents, maybe some additional defensive talents in here. If you cannot get this maybe in SSF, or if it's too early for your budget, but still it will be preferable for our build to get this large cluster jewels. Again, staff attacks, and so the same stuff in here with weight advantage, chance to double damage, and just regular damage increase, feed the fury, and martial prowess. So yeah, they are almost exactly the same. Martial prowess and overlord, melee hits with maces, scepters, and or staves fortify. So this one talent it will be a bit more expensive and it's a bit more rare, but you need only one of them, and yeah, it will give you free fortify. You don't need to get any talents for fortify. You don't need to get your skill, your support gem with fortify. It's enough with this thing in here. And now let's check the jewels, the regular jewels that are thrown into our clusters. So forbidden flame, and somewhere else there's gonna be the other unique jewel that is paired with it. It's gonna be by the way, it's probably gonna be in the regular, so forbidden flesh and forbidden flame for the arena challenger. And arena challenger, as you can see, is this here. It's gladiator node, 2 more attack, more attack, so that's an attack speed multiplier and movement speed multiplier. Per challenger's charge, chance to gain challenger charges when you hit rare or unique enemies while in blood stance, and when you kill an enemy in sand stance. So yeah, that's gonna be your just zoom speed increaser and damage multiplier, additional one. You can live without these gems. They're probably kind of expensive. So yeah, but that's what you can use in this setup, definitely. So corrupted blood cannot be inflicted on you. You should have one of these corrupted implicits at least on one of your just rare jewels. Again, more crit strike chance and multiplier, some chance to impale. Then here with our regular, as you can see, just crit strike chance, crit strike multiplier, health, and one corrupted blood immunity. So this is when it comes to our regular jewels and talent tree. And now we can go for the by the way, we need to check the ascendancy as well. So for ascendancy, as you can see here, impact for increase of AoE of our cyclone. It's kind of necessary for our cyclone to be bigger, even though our shockwaves are gonna be pretty big anyways, but that's still, it's very good for our build. Then brutal fervor, it's our It's our life leech is not going to be removed when we are at the at full HP. It's our overleech, and it's very, very powerful. You definitely need to have it. It's one of the biggest reasons why you're taking Slayer. Then we're taking Bane of Legends, which is just straight up damage multiplier and reflected damage immunity. And then Headsman, which gives us Culling Strike against big bosses. At 20% HP, they will die immediately, and it gives us some additional movement speed and attack speed for us to be faster and to give us a bit of damage just straight up overall in all circumstances. So yeah, now let's go for the skills of this build. What's up on our timer? On our timer, it's already 10 minutes. I will try to squeeze it up in probably 10 minutes. So yeah, with our main link slot, we have Cyclone with Infused Channeling, Awakened Melee Physical Damage, so more Fizz damage, Shockwave, which is just, it's an essential stuff in here, Pulverize for more AoE, and Awakened Brutality, again, just very big, chunky Fizz damage multipliers, and that's all that you can get on Cyclone, and Infused Channeling gives us a bit of defensives as well. Then with vulnerability, we have vulnerability auto curse on our gloves in this build. So whenever you hit enemies, you are auto cursing them with vulnerability. If you don't have it like that, you probably want to either just manually cast it or do something with cast while damage, cast with while damage taken. But yeah, you definitely need vulnerability as your main curse. Then with our cast while damage taken, we have Val Molten Shell, which will give us just this big chunk of this big buffer of HP when we're taking a bunch of damage. It scales off our armor, and we have a bunch of armor. Then Ancestral Protector and Vol Ancestral Warchief. We will probably use only Val version because we don't have. So in regular situations, you're gonna use your Ancestral Protector, and if you have your stacked Val version of Warchief, you will then use it as well on bosses to gain additional damage. Then with our movement spell, we have Lip Slam, Mark on Hit with Assassin's Mark, and Blood Rage, which means that yes, we do indeed have additional curse on our astral plate, on our body armor. If you do not have this mod because it's quite expensive, then you can skip either Assassin's Mark or vulnerability, depending on what do you lack more. If you need more crit, and crit gives you more damage in calculations in pop, then definitely use Assassin's Mark with Mark on Hit, and it's gonna be more convenient. And if vulnerability gives you more damage, then use it instead, while you don't have that modifier on your armor. But probably Assassin's Mark is going to be just more convenient because you can use it with Mark on Hit, and then if you don't have your body armor with the mod for +1 curse, then you don't really need a quite expensive corruption on your gloves in order to curse enemies with vulnerability automatically. So vulnerability will probably come second. But that again depends on the situation. So with Mark on Hit and Assassin's Mark and Lip Slam in this 4-link, we additionally have Blood Rage that will just give us additional life leech. It will give us attack speed and Frenzy Charge generation, which is quite important. Then with our second 6-link, we don't really have. We do have to have 6-link here, but it's if you have Enlighten. Again, if you don't have, then probably you can't really use all these mana reservation spells anyway, and you will have some free gem slots, sockets. But with all the mana reservation that is available for us, as you can see here, we have only 7% unreserved mana. It's 59, but our Cyclone costs 0. We probably with all our enchants on our rings, or not even on rings, but yeah. So we don't really need our mana to be present. But yeah, so with Enlighten giving big reservation multiplier to our auras, and then being more efficient with reservation our spells, we can squeeze in Blood and Sand, Herald of Purity, Pride, Dread Banner, and Determination. Most of them are damage increase auras. If you're okay with damage, you can throw some of them off. and just wait until you can buy an Enlighten, and until you can get all the mana reservation efficiency that you need. So maybe like Herald of Purity, they're all quite good because one of them reserves 10%, second 25%, Pride is 50%, Dread Banner again, but Dread Banner you probably need because it gives us an Impale chance. So yeah, it's one of the essential ones. Determination is one of the essential ones. I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't recommend to throw it out as well. But some of these, depending on your free mana, you can turn in and off, on and off. And the only thing that will be hurt is your damage, but if you're dealing enough damage and you're quite comfortably farming all the mobs that you need, then probably you can live without them for a bit while you're farming for Enlighten and stuff like that. And then with our last links setup is gonna be Precision with Arrogance. So Precision, Precision reservates flat amount of mana, and with Arrogance it will only reserve like 10%, close to 10% of our life. Oh no, even like 8% of our life. So it's not gonna be too much, and you wouldn't really feel it. Yeah, you will have Precision up, you will have additional accuracy, additional critical strike chance, which is vitally important for us. So yeah, we can get Arrogance in here, and it's gonna be quite comfy. Enduring Cry, which will give us endurance charges and additional defenses. Just overall, with instant War Cries, it's not gonna be problematic to use it at all. And Berserk, we are generating Rage, which means that we can use Berserk when we need an extra damage and extra just movement speed, survivability, everything. If we need a big buff, Berserk is here for us, and you're gonna use it with all the Rage generated that you have. And then for our items, so what do we want from our weapon? Our weapon just should be just as big as it possibly can be with physical DPS. So as you can see here, it's 1000 Fizz DPS weapon. It has high baseline crit strike chance and pretty big attack speed as well. So 8% crit strike chance is massive, and we definitely need that because as you can see, our crit strike chance is almost like 100%. It's 95%, so it's very close to 100. And without this baseline crit on the weapon, it would have been way harder for us to get it. Yeah, so everything that we have here is like some stats. They are not substantial. We have just like crit strike increases and as much Fizz DPS as we can get. Then for our helmet we have Abysses, which gives us a bunch of flat Fizz damage, some attributes, melee crit strike multiplier, and it increases physical damage taken, which we will probably feel sometimes, but with all the damage that it gives for softcore, it's definitely a very good option for zooming and getting through all the content even faster. And with our armor, we probably can tank most of the physical damage that is going to be headed towards us. Then for our body armor, we're looking here at quite expensive piece of equipment. So ignore stunts while using socketed attack skills, which is definitely pretty good because we're gonna be channeling through with our Cyclone, and we're gonna ignore stunts. So then here we have, so it's not on our rings as you can see here, but you can get it cheaper on rings. You do have socketed attacks have minus 22 total mana cost, and that gives us just free Cyclone. It doesn't cost us any mana, and that's wonderful. We don't need to think about mana constantly and just running like spinning and then stopping. Yeah, then we see here you can apply an additional curse, which is definitely quite expensive as well, especially with in combination with socketed attacks have minus 22 total mana cost, but it's very powerful. And we see here additional baseline critical strike chance for our attacks, which is again it's a massive damage multiplier, but you still can live without it, and some life. It gives us armor because it's an astral plate, and it gives us some elemental resistances, which is good as well. So for our gloves, it's one of the other essential pieces of our gear. It's our rage generation, additional rage generation. Yes, So we have here regenerate 1 rage per second for every 100 life recovery per second from regeneration, and that's why we're taking these nodes here for our life to be regenerated. These are the ones that give us this 1 rage regen. We're gonna be okay with healing ourselves through the our life leech and our uncapped life leech as well, but with regeneration from the talent tree, we will have our rage generation, and it will give us just a big damage boost. Otherwise, it's just it gives us some life and fire res. The only thing that is quite expensive here is curse enemies with vulnerabilities on hit, with vulnerability and hit. But again, as we've talked about vulnerability before, you can live without it, especially if you don't have your chest in place. Then with boots, we just have regular boots with as much life, resistances, and it's quite important to have 30% movement speed here, because your clear speed depends on you being fast and you having as much movement speed as possible, because in Cyclone you just need movement speed. You can't blink with your lip slam and attack a bunch of enemies. Cycloning, yeah, it's just required for you to be faster. Then with our amulet, we see that it allocates serpent stance, and it has some attributes: fizz damage, crit strike multiplier, crit strike chance, and some life. So nothing special. It's just very good crit strike and flat fizz amulet that you can get. Then with our rings, we're covering our resistances here. It's steel rings, so they give us flat fizz, which is very good. We tried to get flat fizz on the mods as well, but if you can't, then just go for as much resistances as possible and for some life. With belt, we're taking Rislata's Coil. It gives us more maximum physical attack damage and less minimum physical attack damage, but it's still, the difference between these two values is enormous, and it will give us just a bunch of damage straight up, and it has some flat fizz as well. It gives us some strength that we don't really need and some life for us to be a bit tankier. So for our flask, it's sulfur flask, which gives us consecrated ground, and consecrated ground gives us regeneration, and regeneration gives us more rage regen. So it generates rage effectively, and it gives us some damage. Then with silver flask, it's an onslaught, of course. With quicksilver, it's more movement speed. It's essential for your cyclones, and diamond flask just gives us a bunch of crit strike chance. Lion's Roar is our final flask. You can probably switch some of these, like probably sulfur flask. You can swap it for your divine life flask if you want to do that. But it all depends on your preferences and how often do you need it. Are you even low on your life leech anytime soon? Are you dying? Are you receiving damage? Are you like, is that a problem that you don't have enough sustain? If the answer to that is yes, then yeah, you can probably swap some flasks as well. So Lion's Roar is our final flask. It gives us knockback enemies on hit. It gives us armor, that's a granite flask, and it gives us more melee fizz damage, which is the most essential part in here. So yeah, this is your build on Cyclone, on Impale Cyclone Shockwave from Crucible League. You definitely can go with just all the regular rare items, looking for health, like life, looking for elemental resistances, as much flat physical damage as possible, and your weapon should be the most powerful part of your equipment at any times. Just get there as much fizz DPS as possibly can, and then slap on top of it as much flat fizz on other pieces of your gear, and yeah, try to get at least some armor in order to feel more secured against physical damage, and that's probably gonna be just fine because Cyclone scales pretty well. It has just a bunch of free damage. With Shockwave especially, your clear will be good. Maybe your speed wouldn't be as fast as on some other builds that are not channeled based, but it's still gonna be just enjoyable process, league starting or continuing, or just like, yeah, doing anything bossing, map farm related, it's gonna be good. You don't really need any big knowledge of the game and understanding it, all the intricate mechanics of the build. It's simple, it works, and it's fun. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed the video and you're enjoying playing the game itself. Definitely subscribe to the channel and subscribe to my stream if you would like to see some streams by me. Have a good day. Goodbye.